Hello, everyone, and welcome to Joy Beyond Dentistry. I am Ramon Duran, and it's quite a pleasure to have you with us again for another episode. Thank you for joining us again.
I am Noemi Cruz and I cannot wait to have you with us today and introduce to you our special speaker.
At Joy Beyond Dentistry, we know that taking care of your body and mind is key to thriving both in and out of your practice. Today, we're quite excited to explore that with a very special guest who embodies this connection.
So it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Uche Odiatu. He joins us all the way from Toronto, and I have had the pleasure of meeting him a few years back, and he has inspired me regarding wellness, fitness, and mind and body connection, all of the good stuff that helps us in dentistry and on our day life. So welcome, Dr. Uche.
Hey, pleasure. I love sharing my energy, my insights, and to support my colleagues and friends, up-level everything. I think like that JFK quote, when the tide comes in, all ships rise together. When you get healthier or fitter, have more energy, everything improves. Conversations, thoughts, work, personal, relationships. It's quite magnanimous.
That's a great quote.
Great to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
And before we go a little further, I'm going to share a little bit about Dr. Uche, some of his bio, and so you get to know his background and you'll get to understand why we have him here with us today. So Dr. Uche has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a degree in dentistry from the University of Manitoba. He has taken extensive postgraduate training in the mouth-body connection and cosmetic dentistry. He is an internationally recognized wellness and performance expert. This practicing dentist is also an NSCA Certified Personal Trainer, a holistic lifestyle coach, media personality, ABC 2020, and Canada AM, a professional member of the American College of Sports Medicine and the co-author of the books The Miracle of Health and Fit for the Love of It. This energetic dentist has been invited to lecture and share his unique insights on the mouth-body-mind connection in Denmark, England, USA, Canada, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. So this is why we have Uche with us today. He is just, you're around him, you're going to feel the energy, the inspiration, and all about wellness. It just goes beyond dentistry. And like I said, he has inspired me in many ways. And I'm so grateful you're joining us. So,
Righty, Dr. Uche, great to have you with us. And let's get started. And why don't you, besides what Noemi just read, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey. What got you to where you are today?
Well, I can go back, to age 6. My mom never college trained, university trained, but she would give all 4 of us kids cod liver oil. And this cod liver oil was, not citrus flavored like it is today. It was like old school cod liver oil. So she'd line us up. We had no questions. We had no chance to object. But so she gave us, the silver spoon she used to give us with had some dents in it. And I joke around that it was the same silver spoon she used to beat us with. So my first association with nutrition was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But all things, I would say age 6, if you want to talk about journeys, Isaac Newton talked about standing on the shoulders of giants. My mom and dad, both shy, introverted people, but big brains, big dreamers. And to this day, all 4 of us kids are healthy. We exercise. I'm the one that went into the health field. I have a brother, a police officer, a sister in politics, another brother in investing. But we've woven that early nutrition with my dad talking about, you've studied enough, go outside and play, a sound mind and a sound body. And I always said, Dad, I think you plagiarized that from the Greeks. But so between the 2 of them, we got a huge launch, making health being foundational. It's foundational for us.
Love that.
That's
And
great.
I can relate a little bit. I think we have talked about our moms in the past, Ushi.
Mhm.
She was also a big influence on me and wanting wellness, right? And just from the simple things, just not just simple, nutritious foods growing up that I probably didn't think they were cool and didn't want them that back then, but inspired where I'm at now today. So thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Mhm. Mhm. No, my pleasure.
So yeah, so what got you into dentistry? In addition to, I know you have the background of health and fitness and wellness, but why dentistry? Why not medicine or other branch of health?
Yeah, great question. You talk about happenstance and synchronicity and coincidence, and you'd be surprised how much of who we are. Sure, there's some level of self-determination, but it's happenstance. I was in psychology. I had a major in psychology, minor in chemistry. I was working out. I looked like Thor in the university gym. I was like 5'9", 200 pounds. And some guy came up to me one day and said, "Hey, what do you do? What kind of course do you take?" And I said, "Oh, a major in psychology, minor in chemistry." He goes, "What are you gonna do with it?" I said, "I don't know. I love training. I'm into this whole humanistic side." He goes, "Do you ever think of dentistry?" And I went, "Not at all." He goes, "I have teeth, but that's as much as I know." And he said, "Oh, I'm in first year dental school." He said, "Might be something you're interested in." He goes, "Dentists have a great lifestyle. It's still healthcare, and you might be perfect for it." And I thought, give it a try, right? This is me. I'm lighthearted, open, open to whatever the universe is sharing with me. So it's very, very much easy. I've always been drawing. I was good with my hands. I do a little woodworking. My dad was a carpenter. So I got this
Oh,
chalk.
cool.
I ordered the chalk to practice on. Found it pretty easy, straightforward, cut a whistle, okay, easy. Wrote the entrance exam. They told me you have an interview, and I thought, wow, if you have an interview, that means they want you. You'd almost have to talk them out of wanting you by being a bad conversationalist. So I read a book on interview techniques. So instead of just talking to that person straight ahead, like a 21-year-old does, I'd answer her and then fan back around and then go back to him. I was a total CNN news anchor. And anyway, it went well. 6 months later or 6 weeks later, I found out I was in. And sometimes they say, ride the horse in the direction that it's going. And so this is me. I've enjoyed a really good career. I've had time for my pastimes. I have time for hobbies. It's a great culture. The whole idea of personal development and self-study. And even though our colleges demand that we get a certain amount of hours, most dentists blow past those hours because we're students. We're lifelong learners.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. And I've just woven wellness and fitness basically into every conversation I have with the patients, whether it starts with the new patient exam to the recare exam. I'm talking total health. Forget this amalgam to ceramic onlay. I'm talking, why did you fall asleep during your hygiene appointment? You're on 10 medications. Your mouth is really dry. It's not just trouble speaking. You're actually going to have trouble digesting and absorbing nutrients. You're actually going to accelerate aging, I can see by your dry mouth. So it's intuitive to me. Patients love my angle on it. And it's really helped me become known in my area as the go-to guy for wellness.
I love that because that it makes it meaningful for the patient. It goes beyond the mouth, and everything is connected. And that's wonderful that you're finding ways to integrate it with the patient, at their checkups, and it's something that we can all do, right? And it's starting to practices and thinking about not just the mouth, looking at the teeth, everything looks good. It's like, how can we look at this as a whole person and the body connection? So
Yeah,
yes,
without a
that's great.
question, patients love when they feel that you're looking well beyond their dentition. I mean, and it's all related, and we make them part of that conversation through the right questions. Definitely, they get engaged with it. So it's great that you're incorporating that as a routine part of your exam, and let's encourage other people to do more about that.
And I
What is
love, like, I've seen your post, like, of the pull-up bar at your in your office.
Yeah.
So that's something we were talking last week. The staff is like, we need to find a challenge, and my team has had the pleasure of meeting Uche at one. He came to Mason City, Iowa last year, and it was one of their favorite lectures because it was all about wellness. And they're like, when are we gonna get that pull-up bar that Dr. Uche mentioned about? So I need to get on it.
Yeah, you know what? It is, and it is all team. You can't just have the dentist in shape dragging the staff with you. Everyone has to be on board together, and we've talked about that before. If you're gonna introduce implants, whole team has to learn. If you're gonna introduce endo as a part of your endo Thursdays, whole team has to be on board. But also, you have to walk the talk. Like you can't smell like a drive-through fast food restaurant and be talking about holistic dentistry. You know, your fingertips must be yellow from scraping turmeric into your stew, not yellow from tobacco. So I think when we are, everything we are is integrated with energy, and all our mitochondria are firing. I always say my patients doubt, surrender to my certainty. And so many patients have doubt. You know, we think ChatGPT and Google is amazing. However, all it does is it gives them answers. Where's the accountability? And most people, we're humans. We like we like to be in front of people physically. If there's a trusted voice, doctor, medical doctor, dentist, a homeopath, naturopath, they would rather hear it from a human who they trust. And if you look the part, it's so much easier to transfer that trust from your knowledge to making it impactful enough that they take action on it.
Yes, and you had a good point. People are looking for answers, and that's what but that's what they're going. You know, we go to ChatGPT or whatever, but it's true. It's like coming from a human connection is a lot more valuable. So we're all looking for those answers of how can we improve ourselves in some ways. So yeah.
I can tell that you find joy in getting that connection with patients in terms of their overall health. But a good question would be, what brings you joy in your family beyond your profession? You mentioned you mentioned the word hobbies. So tell us, what brings you joy in your life overall?
Okay, I started lifting weights and exercising when I was 14, and I've really not missed many days in all these years since. It's incredible. And I say I'm fortunate and blessed enough that I'm pain free. I've had the odd injury, but if I close my eyes and I'm lifting a dumbbell, I can go back to 14. I can be 18 again. I can be 22 again. And that's an incredible experience because most people feel the weight of their age. Oh, I'm 39. Oh, I'm going to be 50, or I'm making it to 60 next year. And they feel the weight of their chronological age. So it's funny, I always look like this, effortless. My father's African, my mother's Irish, so I always say I'm an African leprechaun. And people always ask me, Dr. Odiatu, can I ask you your age? And I said, well, I'm carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, calcium. I'm basically made of the same stuff stars are made of. I said, I'm stardust. You know, there's parts of me that have been here for 13 billion years. No, Dr. Odiatu, come on. How old are you? Well, there's a chronological age and there's biological age. I said, many people, they're chronologically could be a certain age, but biologically, if you're 10, 20 years younger because of freedom of pain and freedom of disease, that's how old you are. And people realize they're not going to get the answer out of me because it's such a linear question. And linear is the nuts and bolts which makes life boring. You know, cut the grass, pay the bills. And if at the end of my life, God asked me, what did you do? Well, I paid my visa on time. I cut my grass every Sunday. What else? I paid my property tax. God goes, anything else? No, I fixed everything I should. It was I stayed within the lines. Okay, that's a nice life, but where's the joy? So I like painting outside the lines. I don't think life is linear. I know that I'm mostly empty space. People say hot air, but I'm mostly empty space. And I love quantum physics. I like the fact that I was telling my 10-year-old the other day, when two fingers touch together, you never actually touch anything. It's really electromagnetic repulsion. I'm not actually touching my fingers together. Like, they don't touch. So I love dichotomy. I love paradox. I love reading. I'm a voracious reader. I'm hanging out with my son today. We've already played a little bit of Xbox. People always think, Dr. Odiatu, you relax. Trust me, I can play Xbox for 2 hours with nothing else going on except eating some chips and some Diet Sprite. So I'm a fitness fanatic, but I'm also a master of moderation. So I'm a mom, just like Noemi. I'm a master of moderation. So I can be silly and goofy, and waste time. I remember I like that quote by John Lennon. He said, wasting time isn't time wasted. So I do like to do nothing, even though it looks like I'm always on this incredible path to doing things all the time.
Love that. Yeah, it's so true, because I mean, it's like not doing anything is also, there's an art to it, and being able to relax while not doing it, and having your accepting it, because we're so used to go, and like our profession demands it, home demands it, and then when you think about all the fitness stuff and everything, we're always doing something, but just allowing to relax and not do anything, that's an art, and it takes effort, even though it sounds like it's laziness, but it takes effort. And
Yeah,
also,
the art of
Dr. Uche likes to dance. I have seen some of his dance moves too.
Yeah, no. If I can find a reason, the Greater New York meeting. I think more American meetings than Canadian. We do like to have fun. Like, I think dentists have this formal, cerebral, intellectual side, but when they have events, like, why would you sit in the sidelines thinking about your mesial buccal canal? Like, get out and get active. Like, all fitness isn't CrossFit and Bikram yoga. Like, by moving, listening to music, it's a huge part of that. To be a Renaissance man or woman is to have many parts of you that are developed. So whether it's conversation, dancing, enjoying a spirited debate, I don't call it an argument, but a spirited debate, man, it brings out the best in us.
That's
that's
right.
great. That's great to hear. But I like that line, trying to slowing down to the speed of life. I mean, to the speed of happiness is something that we really have to struggle. I mean, sometimes we're so focused on doing stuff, on the next thing that we got to do, that we're not good enough at just slowing down. And that's an area that I have to work really hard with myself, because I'm always doing something and looking for the next thing. Great to hear that answer from you. Thank you.
And Ushi, throughout your career, have you experienced any challenges, not just dental related, but in life or family, that have kind of shaken you up and had to find that balance to get back to joy? Anything that you can share with us that you might have experienced? I mean, all of us have something, right? But
Oh, well, some people have more than one, and some people never get back up. But no one escapes life without a few bruises, scrapes, and bumps. So it's part of being human. If someone says, I just want to have the happy high notes, it would be boring as hell. If you went to a symphony orchestra and just wanted to hear the happy high notes of the cymbals, where's the oboe? Where's the drum? So I believe having those cloudy days, having some thunderstorms, makes the sun seem more beautiful. It makes the oasis not seem like a mirage. You can live it. So, I think about my dad passing away in 2010. Again, lucky for me. I just say lucky for me, but as an adult, you seem to be able to absorb the grief and the sadness and the loss of a father passing as an adult. I know you hear about people having parents pass as a child. Madonna, I think, was age 5. Pierce Morgan lost his dad at age 3, just for a few examples. So that was challenging. But again, it's funny. Someone once told me, when your dad passes away, instead of just thinking about him once a week, you'll think about him every day. And I'm thinking, like, how's that possible? Now I know what that means. When someone dies who's close to you, you'll think about them every day. It's not just once a week or once a month. And my mom passed away in 2016 at age 92. Wow, like almost 100. So her wisdom carried her forth, and I still hear it to this day about cod liver oil and calcium and brown sugar, even though brown sugar we know now is white sugar with a dye job. In the 60s, brown sugar was considered healthier than white sugar. So I have them with me all the time. And at one point, my wife and I, our firstborn son passed away. He was born with severe special needs back in 2004. And he wasn't supposed to make it past 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours. We thought, wow, look at us, 72 hours. And we were both, athletes, and very much, you get what you want, you get what you focus on. And life presented us with, hey, sometimes life doesn't work out well. 2 healthy people can have an unhealthy baby. But he lived for about 8.5 years through all naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, osteopathic medicine, you name it, we did it, along with conventional medicine. But he passed away in 2013. Lucky for us, we're both optimists, so we said we're not going to be defined by this little guy, we have this sense that there's going to be more life coming through us. And we since had 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. Little Theo was born in 2015. So that was a tragedy. And at the time, who would think when you get that diagnosis and you're in that neonatal care, thinking about your child who's going to be defined by this condition, and not just feeding disorder. It was like he had multiple system issues. And, it's called, I realize now what the dark night of the soul is. That is the dark night of the soul. And the dark night of the soul is, many people get lost in it. But if you have this sense of survival, you have the sense of I'm more than this, you get a sense of there's a hand guiding me through this. It's amazing how I would say it was the worst thing, but at the same time, it really makes me appreciate health and being pain-free. You hear about people complaining about, my Botox didn't work last time. I have one eyebrow raising, or, I can't believe I can't get rid of this last 4 pounds. And I'm thinking like, that is nice that you're worried about that part of your health, but there's humans that are struggling to live. There's humans that have never been able to walk on the ground. And here you're talking about your Botox hasn't turned out what you want. You have to go back and maybe see your doctor again. So it makes it humorous. And I don't make fun of people. I'm not going to judge them. But you realize everyone gets stuck in different areas. So I think when you've heard the oboe and you've heard the dark drum in the orchestra, it makes the bright days really special. And I chance to say I'm much more lighthearted having gone through it. I'm a better listener, chair side. I'm a better dentist. I'm a better dad. I'm a better friend. I'm a better healer. I'm a better speaker, a better writer, simply because I've experienced depths, I've experienced heights. I've dragged myself out of that. And the whole family, I always say faith, family, and fitness got us through. So that, yes, I would say that was one of the biggest things. And then now, my wife, ex-wife now, we separated about 6 years ago. And the challenge, though, when you think about it, you always hear that 50% of marriages end in divorce. Well, if you have a special needs child, or if you have the death of a child, the chance of success goes down to only 20%. So families with special needs kids, or the death of a child, for whatever reason, marriage and building a life with someone's tough enough on its own, with everything that we have. But you add a special needs child and the death of a child, now you only have a 20% chance of success. So we succumb to that. And again, challenge, sadness, you mourn the grieving of that. But now we've both moved on. We found people that we care about and love, and you celebrate new love and new life. And I see my kids on the weekends, and they see this dad. I said the storytelling is the oldest art form, the oldest form of entertainment. It's talking about the hunt back in the caveman days around the fire, 100,000 years ago. So they see the smiles, they experience the sadness, because 3 of them were at the funeral of their brother, but they see the smiles, and that clouds don't mean it's going to be cloudy forever. And if you look for that ray of sunshine, it's not a cliche. You can see more sunshine by looking for that ray of sunshine. And that's, in a nutshell, that's highs and lows of a life well lived.
Thank you,
That is so
Uche,
true.
for sharing that. And I love that. We always, there's always a reason why we do what we do. And you said family, fitness. And what was the third one? The third one? Family,
Faith in a higher power.
family,
Faith
and fitness.
is something more than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason. There's always a reason that gets us moving forward. Thank you for sharing.
And I love what you said. We all deal with challenges, but there's some beauty on those more dramatic challenges, like what you experience. The loss of a child. That's something that brings a lot of sadness to. As a parent, you don't expect to experience, but then the beauty that it can also bring with it, appreciating everything that you still have, you can still find joy and purpose, and then how you see others, how you interact with others, how you want to make the life of others better because of your own suffering that you went through. And sometimes when life, just because a life might feel perfect or people might not have big problems, doesn't mean that you're happier, right? Because we can find, our mind can find problems in the littlest things, like you said, like an eyebrow like raising more than the other, and you can become miserable and suffer from that more than a bigger event, because we have the control over how we react to it. And sometimes when we're so into ourselves, we're more prone to that suffering than when we're seeing the bigger picture, the beauty on even suffering and what other people are going through, and what can we do to make their lives easy, better, right? And share our joy with them and uplift them. So that was really special. Thank you for sharing that.
Well said.
I know that. I mean, I know that your favorite topic, which is health, fitness, wellness, and I know we could have a whole day, and that's part of what you do, spending 1-2 days with people talking about those topics. So let's see how much we can get out of you in the next few minutes into those topics of health, fitness, and wellness. What would you love to share with our audience in those areas?
Well, people often think of themselves as having one doctor. Most people have, lucky enough, if you're fortunate enough, you have one medical doctor. But that's a given. That's I wouldn't say it's foundational, but it's part of, mostly it's sickness care, because one time I went to my doctor when I turned 50, and I said, hey, I want to get healthier. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I wanted more energy. I want to get healthier. And a week later, she asked my now ex-wife, because she was in for something else, was something wrong with your husband? He seemed like, was he on cannabis that day? And she goes, no, he's just pulling your leg. But he really did say she had no answer to get healthier. She had no answer to get healthier. So, and I think people rely on the doctors. It's for acute care: stroke, cancer, appendectomy, broken leg, heart attack. But if you want to get healthier, I need a naturopath, an osteopath, massage therapist, a physiotherapist, a certified trainer, a nutritionist, a dietitian, and also the discipline to do it. I would say knowledge used to be power. Sir Francis Bacon, 500 years ago, said knowledge is power. But now knowledge has lost some of its value because it's cheap. You have the answer to anything that's ever in the history of human civilization has been recorded. You have the answer, an $80 data plan away. So knowledge is cheap. But what is valuable now is accountability, personal accountability, the discipline to do it, and consistent action without hurting yourself. So for me, when I think of my what's foundational, if I was going to share it with your listeners or viewers, is I basically almost have 6 doctors. I have Dr. Exercise, I have Dr. Sleep, I have Dr. Breath, I have Dr. Diet, I have Dr. Light, and I have Dr. Hormesis. Hormesis is my new one. It's kind of wild because all it is means you do tough things. If you have a life of convenience, if you live in a 2-story house and they go, now that I'm 55, I'm going to move to a 1-story house. It's easier on our knees. I say if you go from a 2-story to a 1-story, you're going to slide right into that coffin because it's not even a step down. We need a life of inconvenience. Cut our own grass once in a while. Walk our own dog. I don't know how many people in big cities get a dog for exercise and they end up paying a dog walker. There's actually a service in Toronto where you can actually pay someone to teach your kid how to throw a ball. There's actually at a community club, they can teach your kid how to ride a bike. I'm a specialist. All I do is I do this all day. Well, and everyone else around you does everything else. Like life doesn't have to be so efficient to be enjoyed. So hormesis is all about, as my 6 doctors, making it difficult. So it could be sauna. It could be turning the water on the shower to cooler, so it's a little more moderate, not so comfortable. It could mean staying up late someday to challenge you. Like, Navy SEAL training. You think of Hell Week, what they do to see who has the mustard to become an American military Navy SEAL. They see, can you survive on 3 hours a day and still perform strength things? So that's hormesis. Who's got the mental muscle to keep on when every organ in your body wants to fail? And I've read now that actually it makes a part of your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. So all 3 of us have that. So the anterior mid-cingulate cortex is a part of the brain that grows thicker and stronger when you do tough things. When you do things that you don't want to do and you still do. Like getting up early, not just to catch a flight, but getting up early to walk the dog before work. Where you get up early to maybe make food for your family. You don't want to do it, but by providing nutrition, you're going to source and serve your family. So doing tough things builds emotional muscle. We always think of muscle as being physical, but emotional muscle is my 6th doctor. That's Dr. Hormesis. Okay, so we can go through the other 5, but what do you think of that, Dr. Hormesis?
Oh my gosh, I had not heard of that, about that, and love it. So then, I know you're big, sleeping like 7 hours. I know we have talked about this before. So once in a while, would you push yourself to sleep less than that and test yourself? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. I know people that if I'm not in bed by 9 o'clock, I'm lost. If I'm not in bed by 9 o'clock, if I don't have my 4 meals a day, Well, if there's ever a nuclear apocalypse or Armageddon, those people are the first to die because you're going to have to do an all-night sandbagging, preserving food, making a fire, walking 15 miles to get gasoline. So I think by pushing yourself, one night, say maybe an all-nighter, but stay up a little later, push yourself. You'll survive. But everyone likes to be comfortable. You know, I need a 30-minute shower before I get ready. Why not a 5-minute shower? Why do you even need to use really strong, powerful body wash with triclosan in it, destroying your microbiome on your skin and the sebum? So there's something about pushing the limit so it's not so comfortable. It could be instead of if all your workouts are 45 minutes, do an hour and a half one day. If you've never run more than 5 kilometers, do a half marathon. As a dentist, if all you do is single crowns, learn how to do a full mouth case. I know Noemi does full mouth cases, so that would be challenging for me. I've done it once before, back in 1996, and it actually turned out well. But I thought, okay, been there, done that. Okay, but you do it on the difficult cases. You do it on the grinders. You do it on the people that have one tooth and a sinus that dips down every time they open their mouth. You can see the sinus pulsing inside. So I know you do difficult cases, but yeah, doing tough things, having difficult conversations. Some people never talk about tough talk with their partners. So if you never have tough talk, there's no depth to the relationship. So to have the difficult conversations with your son, hey, dude, have you ever thought of this? But if you just talk about the happy high notes, there's no depth and you don't add much texture to a relationship. So that's part of the hormesis.
Wonderful. Yeah, this is something, have I heard of doing difficult things? Yes, but I have not heard of Dr. what? Dr.
Hormesis.
And it is so true because we're like we feel like if we fail on doing something like perfectly, or if we don't get our perfect meals or our sleep or this and that, like the world is going to end, and it's not. I mean, It's like you can still survive and thrive, right? And yes, pushing ourselves a little bit out of our comfort zone, it just adds some layer to that. Some, just, how do you say, it just creates a little bit of thicker skin too, as well, at the same time, not, just by trying and tough conversations, not just at home, but even with our patients, with our team, there are things that have to be addressed that if you don't, things don't get better, right? And it is important to be able to do it at a timely basis.
Well, look when a team member, a long-term team member quits, and you're like, I thought she was happy. I haven't been happy for 10 years. I haven't been happy for 10 years. Where's the huddle? The huddle talked about the patient who has a crown in. Did you ever say, is everyone happy here? And if you're not happy, how can we make your experience happier here at Mint Springs or Bayview Village? How can we make your time better here? Because we're spending 40 hours a week with each other, more than anyone in our lives ever. You should be happy here. And if you're not, and if we can't make you happy, is there a place we can actually suggest where you can actually become happier? And that would really hold people up to a higher standard. That's a difficult huddle. It's one thing to find out, our 2:00 patient has a wheelchair, make sure she's in operatory too. Another one is here, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you working here? Honestly, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 2 out of 10. As a receptionist, what's going on with 2 out of 10? Well, I don't like the fact that I never get, and now that's hormesis. We're having a difficult conversation, so we're being pushed emotionally. And to grow strong emotionally is powerful. To grow strong emotionally is powerful. It's called the anterior midcingular cortex. When you do or say tough things, part of your brain grows stronger. And they've actually shown that people who make it to 100 years of age, centenarians, they have thicker anterior midcingular cortex than people who die or pass away earlier.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting to hear. But have never heard that, Dr. Hormesis. Where did that name came from, Dr. Hormesis?
I make these things up. Right. My mom's Irish, so we're good stories. So hormesis is just being challenged. You have homeostasis. So anytime you get pushed away from comfort, hormesis is being challenged. So if you always shower hot for 30 minutes, that's very comfortable. It's very predictable. Well, do moderate temperature for 5 minutes. And don't use soap. Because there's a book called The Microbiome Solution. It says one of the reasons why we have such weak immune systems is because we're too clean. We're too clean, too sealed, Most of us as dentists can do an appendectomy on our kitchen island. Not that we should be licensed to do appendectomies, but if I had to, hey, I could do one on my island because it's aseptic, you know. So we have so much infection control. We're too clean. So part of that thing is it just happened in Scientific American too 10 years ago. They said we're too clean. We don't challenge our immune systems enough. So in America, oftentimes in a house where there's a nanny, cook, cleaning lady, two cleaning ladies, we're full of puffers, EpiPens, and food sensitivities. Mm-hmm. You go live near the Ganges in India. You go to the Serengeti Desert in Africa. You won't find many teachers at playground with EpiPens and puffers for kids' asthma. Because kids don't have asthma and they don't have EpiPens. No one's allergic to food. Can you imagine? I'm allergic to food in India? I don't think so. So there's something about our hyper clean North American zeal for cleanliness and sterilization of our dishwasher and of our driveway, pressure cleaning my driveway and running over with my tires that I'm driving over raccoons and poop on the road. And I got to pressure wash my driveway. Is there anything else I could be doing that's more spiritual than pressure washing and sanitizing my driveway? So no judgment. People like a super clean driveway. But I do think we're so sanitized. We're basically really harming our microbiome. You know, all three of us have 40 trillion single-celled organisms and bacteria inside us, and they thrive without antibiotics. They thrive with diverse diets. They thrive on movement and good sleep. So if we have a lot of antibiotics, just because it's so easy for us to have antibiotics, I have a sore throat, I have a sinus infection. Well, very few of them are actually bacterial, they're viral, so you're actually getting bad treatment because why am I giving an antibiotic? Only 5% of a man's prostatitis is bacterial. 5% of men who got prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate after 50, is bacterial. But almost everyone gets a 30 days of Cipro just to start off as let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. You know, I remember George Washington in 1790, he had a sore throat. So physicians at the time they cut him. It's called bloodletting to lance the bad ethers out of him. So he died actually from the treatment for his sore throat. He just needs to go to bed and gargle salt water. So there's something about us messing up, being too, I wouldn't say too medical, but too clean, too sterile. It's good for surgery, good for the operatory, not so good for my house, not so good for my driveway.
Well, some of those are, as we call, first world diseases, first world problems. And we can do a lot better. There's no question about that. Now, Uche, we're as dentists, we're very good at taking care of others. That's something that we work very hard at. I mean, we're really good at it. But we don't take as good care of ourselves. And you mentioned that list of doctors that we all need: Dr. Sleep, Dr. Nutrition, Dr. Fitness. Could you, I mean, as I said, we could be talking about it for the whole day, but could you kind of summarize that and what would be the takeaway for the listeners today in terms of what should be in your schedule to take good care of yourself?
Okay. I'll talk to a study club for 6 hours or an evening study club for 2 hours about sleep, interval training, microbiome, prebiotic, probiotic, postbiotics. And then someone comes up to me and go like, hey, can I take some peptides? And I'm like, did you know our body makes thousands of peptides on its own? Insulin is a peptide. Vasopressin is a peptide. Oxytocin is a peptide. And a body that's well-fed, moved, and rested will make all the peptides we want. Mm-hmm. So when you inject something exogenously, the body, which is very resourceful, says, why make it? Just like when you put a cast on a broken leg, the muscles shrink around it as the bone heals. Or back in the 80s and 90s, every weightlifter would wear lifting belts. Now we know that's not a good idea. Anytime you support your body, the body becomes weaker. So people have this thing about shortcut, peptides. I'm like, do you like your job? No, I hate my job. Do you get to bed on time? No, I watch Netflix till 2. Are you in a happy marriage? No, I can't stand him. I don't think BPC 157 is going to help you. I think you need more than BPC 157. So, and people love to do the quick fix. And I said, you got to go to bed on time. You got to sleep in that dark room that's cool for the deepest sleep. You got to get your $3,000 Burmese mountain dog off your bed because people sleep with a dog on their bed. This is neuroscience. Matthew Walker said you don't sleep deep. You got to learn how to inhale through your nose. You know, so if you have dry lips, I can tell you're a mouth breather. your body thinks you're in crisis mode. You'll have higher blood sugar, higher blood pressure, because the brain is a slave to the breath. So if 25% of adults are mouth breathers, so I would say learn to inhale through your nose and stop looking for the NAD or NATO. Or people come up to me, really smart people. Dr. Odiatu, have you heard about methylene blue? Have you heard about a gym? Have you gone into a gym and done strength training? Because sarcopenia is going to kill you a lot quicker than a lack of methylene blue. Okay.
Love
Yes.
that.
I'm so glad you mentioned, the peptides as well. That's a hot topic right now, and people are wondering what are the best peptides to take, and well, all of this, and it's like, there's a black market out there with peptides, right? And you said it right. It's like it's simple, just doing the simple things that, sleep well, eat well, go to the gym. Doesn't have to be complicated, right? And I think we try to complicate our lives more than necessary.
You know what? And actually, we're all smart. I think dentists, doctors, PhDs, we're almost too smart for our own good. We overanalyze everything. And I call it getting lost in the weeds. And anytime you overthink anything, it's the worst thing. Nothing helps overthinking. Our gut, which never lies, and if you have good digestion, you'll have this whole second brain, this 100 millions of neurons in your gut, and the messages from the highway from brain to gut, 10 times messages go from your gut to your brain. So technically, our gut never lies. So there's something about our body is the most beautiful pharmacy. We make endocannabinoids. I can close my eyes and think of my best day, breathe like that day, put myself into place. I can have all kinds of euphoria without even leaving. I don't need to go to get some THC to do it. Through heat, I can actually get a certain amount of endorphins just by being in a hot sauna. I can feel good. I can work out and get endorphins. And even though when you work out, you get cortisol, the endorphins that I get from the workout, now when I'm in a crisis, when cortisol goes up, exercisers stay still in the eye of the storm. So that's why they want firefighters and police officers to be fully fit and healthy and strong. Because when fit people are in a crisis, they're used to having cortisol rise along with endorphins. So if all three of us are working out, you get cortisol, right? Doing CrossFit. But at the same time, they get endorphins. So now during a crisis, a car crash, cortisol. Hey, my body goes, hey, endorphins. So now my mind stays still. And leadership is stillness in crisis. And my metaphor for that is in the eye of the storm, it's quiet. Everyone else, 80% of people who don't exercise are running around with their heads cut off. The person who's fit, the person who's got the discipline to exercise is quiet and still. And you make profound CEO-like decisions in that island of stillness. And that's why they want SWAT team, CIA, FBI, they want them fit. And it's not just to look good for the firefighter's calendar. It's so your mind stays still in the eye of the storm. So a dentist could definitely benefit from fitness. And it's not just for your 30th reunion at university. It's so when things are going wrong, the furcation is getting stripped during an endo, or the tooth beside the tooth you're extracting is getting loose. Instead of losing your mind, you stay still. You stay centered like a CEO, and you'll make better decisions. In a nutshell.
That is
Love
awesome.
that. Love that. Leadership is
That is
stillness
awesome.
in crisis. That's a great line. Love it. Love it. So
Love it. Yes.
Dr. Uche, you're a co-author of two books. Would love to hear a little bit more about those. And I mean, there's so much information that you have. I know you're an encyclopedia when it comes to health,
We'll have to have
wellness,
him back.
fitness. So, I mean, where can people get more information about you? It would be in your books. What would you suggest if they want to hear more about your
Those
topics?
books are dated. Those books are dated already. I think Fit for Love It was a self-published book like 24 years ago. And then the second one was published 3 years later, but now knowledge, and again, the whole goal was to write a timeless book with timeless messaging. Like there's foundational principles that won't end. Gravity is timeless. You don't need more science to talk about gravity. I had a hygienist come up to me one time and say, Dr. Odiatu, some of your resources were from 2016 or 2018. Do you have anything more current with some of the things you're telling us? I said, well, did you know that exercise has thousands of scientific research all the way up to this month at the American College of Sports Medicine? It's well researched that exercise is good for you. So that's the science, right? She goes, yeah. And I said, do you exercise? She goes, no. I said, so and science often doesn't help you do things, does it? I said, I'm talking about things that are timeless. Like when I talk about a 2016 study, it's a landmark book. The book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker came out in 2017. Powerful. And when I asked 500 people, who's read one of the best books ever written on sleep, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker? 7 hands. So you have 500 people, 7 hands go up. And this isn't smart people. 1, 2, 3 degrees each, post-grad, specialty training. So this is special people, 7 out of 500. If I do a talk at a trade show for a general nutrition course in the general population at the convention center downtown, I'm dealing with people on average have no university training. The level of knowledge about calcium and NAD and the microbiome is so small. And here we are as dentists. As dentists, we're not reading the books. Average person, they say, doesn't read a book after high school. And that was 20 years ago. So I would say in this world of ChatGPT and Dr. Google, no one is reading. None of our patients read. And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying everyone has about 30 seconds depth of knowledge. They have 30 seconds. That's why people appreciate people like you who podcast and to talk more than 10 minutes, because most people have 30 seconds of knowledge about anything. And then that thing comes in called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect says people who know very little about a subject are usually the most confident in a discussion. Hey, I lost 5 pounds on a multi-level marketing thing, and I'm going to talk to you about it for an hour at a coffee meeting, so maybe you could join me and make me rich. And here am I. I'm tirelessly reading education, personal development, psychology, some of the aesthetics, sciences, quantum physics. I'm like Socrates. I know nothing. I have this lifelong curiosity. So I love people who listen to a TikTok and they'll lecture me for 30 minutes on peptides. I'm thinking like, that doesn't sound science. No, Uche, if you just come to this coffee shop, you can actually join my downline and we can get rich together. Oh, that's why you want me to join your peptide community.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, Uche, we can spend a lot of time talking together. We'll probably have to have you back because, and
Good.
I remember it was a year ago when you were here in Mason City, and I told you about Joy Beyond Dentistry and that we were starting this podcast, and you have been one of those people that have checked on me throughout the year. How's the podcast going? When are you going to get started? And I appreciate it because every time it's like work in progress. And then finally, we were happy that we're getting this started, and so happy to have you as one of our guests. Like I said, you have been influential for me in my fitness, wellness, and you're one of those people that it's so fun to have these deep conversations, right? About and challenging ourselves in terms of not just physical wellness, but also mind and spiritual wellness, right? So I love conversations with you, and you have given us so much information today that I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really quite a pleasure to have you with us. Finding joy in dentistry, finding joy beyond dentistry, there's no question that will be not only taking care of others, but taking good care of ourselves. So thank you for all your information and your good messages. As Noemi said, we would love to have you back because you have so much to share with our audience, so much that we can learn and getting better at to live a more fulfilled and enjoyable life. Thank you, really, Uche, for
Go ahead, Uche.
and spending some time with us today.
Yeah, and it never ends. Like some of these state meetings and conferences, I'm going, every second or third year. The science is so new, and I always said medical practice, dental practice, nutritional practice. We're never done. There's always new science. Back in the '80s, eggs were bad. Now eggs are fine. So there's so much more to know, and I'm very humble. If someone asks me a question, I'll say that's not my area. Or if they ask me a question about the microbiome that I don't know, I will look it up and I'll realize. I like to keep my finger on the pulse. So being a lifelong learner is beautiful. It's youthful. It's energetic. And you guys have both challenged me today to express myself. Some things I don't often talk about, but I love both of your depth of knowledge and your humanity. It's been a great time.
Thank you, Uche.
Thank you. I mean, lifelong learners, that's what we are. We're never-ending students, and it's part of it. So thank you, Uche, for your time with us today. It has been quite a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you to all the listeners for joining us today. It's great to have you with us. So have a great time.
And remember, joy is a choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.